Hello everyone, this is TouchDesigner tutorial. I want to try the series of element effect for fire. Here we want fire effect on the point you want. For example, in this work, when you drag the line with your mouse, there's some points appeared on the point you drag the line. And when you push this fire buttons, the fire particle effect appeared. And when you push the one more, this fire effect disappeared. And you can clear these positions with this clear buttons. That's the structure of this work. So what we do now in Art of Fire, there's 3 steps. Put points, make triggers, and fire. That's 3 steps. To start the making. This is the first view of the TouchDesigner, and delete the palette browser, and delete another operator too. And first, we want to make position makers. Put panel operator, and get up on project operators. And open the view, and here appear the windows. And over that windows, and this project view windows is showing the out1 operator inside the project operators. I show with that the movie filing operators. When you put the movie filing operator top and connect it to out1 top, then here appeared in project operator view the banana image connected to the out1. The panel chop operator shows your mouse action over this view windows. You can see so many parameters, but we don't use all of that. Let's select it. First, select the parameters and U and V. With that 3 parameters, when you click the view windows, the select parameter become 1, and UV shows the positions. Let's connect the chop to null and put sphere and geometries component, and as usual put camera and light and render. The usual 3D model view, I introduced it part 3 tutorial. And let's connect this render to out1, then you can show this sphere 3D model in project view window. Let's adjust the sphere size to 0.2. Then let's make instance on geometries and drag the parameter null on instance data source. Then apply the translate X and Y with U and V. Then you can show the sphere is moving with your mouse action over the project view window. Then let's adjust the real mouse position to the sphere position in the view window. Make a value adjustment with the math operator chop and select the range tab, and the panel value change from range 0 to 1 according to the mouse position in the view window, left to right or bottom to top. Each UV values and the sphere position in the render view will change linearly when you select the orthographic, the ortho width to 2. With that, the sphere position left to right will be -1 to 1 in X position. Here, now we can adjust the horizontal position of the spheres to mouse positions, but V position is not same range. So let's make the aspect adjustment. First, let's define render resolution value in the input setting. That means put the constant chop on the left side and make W, that means the width, and H value, that means the height. Then this time 1280, 720, each is according to the width and height. And let's use it with a connecting null operator here, and let's apply it on the render top resolution. Drag and drop and chop reference. And then let's pick aspect ratio value from these resolution values. Then we select the width that is defined with the camera auto width. Then connect another math and combine these 2 values, width and height with width. Here we divide the width and height with selected width. With that we can get here the aspect ratio of the render image on the basis of the width. And here we insert the select. On this map we don't use the select signal, so select the 2 values U and V and rename it to TX and TY, but you can write also like this, T rect parenthesis XY. That is also mean TX and TY. and insert math, another math here, and combine txty and aspect ratio and multiply them. With that, here, we should have changed instance reference from UV to TX and TY. Now I can get the correct mapping according to the mouse position and the sphere position in the render. No need to movie 1 and no need to null. Then, with this component, we want to make position set, position table or position list. So here we want to make the input recorder, input memory with the trail. So insert here the trail chop. And with that, now, like this, we can make the instance of the recorded mouse position. When you hit the left button, left mouse buttons, we'll adjust sphere radius to 0.1 or 0.05 is nice, I think. Here we can draw the line with the multiple sphere instances. Here in chop, we can record the multiple position datas, but when you don't input the datas, here still remains the position list because the trail chop always record all the signals of the UV, and here rendered multiple spheres that is not the input. So let's get rid of these datas. So let's put the chop2 data here. With that, we can now list up the chop datas and check the include names on to show the data names and connect the selected dat and select rows to by values and input row select values to 1. With that, and include the first row on to show the channel names too. Here we can show the input signal list, which have only selected signal 1. Here's the positions, only which you selected. And then select the null and connect the dat to chop and get it back to the chop data. Here's some parameters. Output to channel per column. Each parameter is shown in column. And the 0 row. The first row is here, and not the value, that is names. Then we can get the chop datas. Well, the first column is selected. But from here after, we don't use the select signals because it's all 1. So let's ignore it. First column is ignored. And to distinguish the not selected signal, make default value -100, the far distance value. Then connect it to original math datas. Then here, we can render only the position you selected. And here we can the selected position list you put. So let's get together in one component and output these positions. From here to here is the those function. So right click and collapse selected, then you can make the one component that output these two operators. And name this position maker component put positions. And here we can't see the component view because the inside out operator named is out2. So rename the out signal to out1. Then we can see the component view, which is showing the position you put. You can use that position list in various ways you want. Okay, then let's make the effect of fire with this position. But here we want to generate fire texture particle. Those positions become the particle generators. First we put the chop to shop here, and here's the error. There's no 3 values, only TX and TY. So get rid of the TZ and the P3 writing. Now these positions making the generator shop model. By the way, when you manipulate the fire, I think it is important to you burn the things or fire. But it is also important to not to fire things. I think it is same things. And this works too. Let's control the on-off of the effects. When there is a no signals, we don't want stop. So here let's make on-off function according to this position signal. Put another null and with the on-off signals, which do some program execution. So let's put the chop execution operators and active off to on and on to off. We want to bypass this chop to. With those on-off judgment, we only use one signal. So let's select the TX, no need the TY. and insert math operators to make it this -100 signal to approximately 0, 1 signal. When there's no signals, from a range -200 or 1. And when there's signals, the lowest value of the input will be -1, like this. So the from range, when there are signals, is -1. And when you insert and analyze the chop here and make the average of the trail, now we can get approximately 1 signal when there is input signal. Let's get together these operators. Collapse selected, change the out name, out2 to out1 to see the signal view, and now let's change the name of the signal to put. Doesn't mean you are putting points or not. And with that signal, we want to execute some function off to on and on to off. And let's make the values of the object swap operators as an OP value, and that operator's name is chop to 1. So write this operator chop to 1. You use the quotation mark and the parentheses, and write on to off functions operator bypass is true. When there is no signals and they're cleared all signals, we don't want swap to work, so bypass is true. And on the off to on functions, right operators bypass is false. That bypass means here we want to on off the swap operators. With these programs combination. Okay, then we don't use the value change. Let's inactive here. When there is no signals, here we can work off the chop to 1 swap with the bypass false. And with this particle generator's swap, let's make the particle. Connect the particle swap operator here. And put particles. Here you can, to show as if the particle moves like a fire, I make the window effect. And the turbulence, maybe 2.7, and the turbulence period is 0.05 is proper, I think. And time life expected is 0.3 is enough, I think. And the birth number is 1000. I said it, but customize with your PC ability. Then I made a sort operation to let the particle generation random. And make null and connect it to that with the swap to that. And let's each particle's position to be a table. At the default, when the particle disappears, those positions of the particle's data still remain. So let's check remove unused points. And we don't need any other parameter as positions. We need only positions. Then write P here, attribute. And make the rectangle to show the texture that becomes the canvas of the textures of the each particles. Then put the camera and the lights as usual. Then I draw this chop shaders within the height. And yeah, apply it to this render operator too. Then I make the instance with that and make each position translate of the X and the Y. Then we can see the particle rectangle render views. So let's make it over the 3D sphere view I rendered before. Insert here the over top. Oh, we got far. I got to bring here. Then now we can show the rectangle blow up with the particles motions. Then this is not same size because the camera is not orthographic, so change its orthographic width to. And here we can see the particle is a rectangle is blow up like a fire. So next, let's make the texture that seems as if the real fire. First, set the material of each rectangles. I use the constant. We don't need full material here. Then when you change the color to the red, for example, you can see the rectangle become the red, but we don't use the red colors. Instead, we use the textures. For example, when you set this noise operator as the texture's color map, drag and drop and apply it as a color map of the constants, then noise textures is drawn on the rectangle's canvas. Okay, now we want to change this noise textures to be the pattern that seems as if the real fire. So let's make the component that make the fire patterns. I put the base 2, but we didn't need that, and so I delete that. And I use this base 3 component instead, and let's get in here and insert textures 3D. And don't forget to change the texture 3D to not the 3D texture, that is the 2D textures here. Then with this, we can make various type of patterns of the fire effect. Then we define the texture number. We want to use here the 60 textures, so then that become the input of this component. So first made the chop of the constant component and defined the texture size values. Then I pulled into the texture pattern component with the in chop. Then we apply it on the texture 3Ds. And then change the colors, connect the level and decrease the red values to any color is okay, but we want color here, and apply and insert HSV adjust and change the hue. That means the hue values. Change the blue color to the orange color, like a fire. Then we insert the level and adjust the brightness of these fire colors. The fire is a little brighter. And then next, insert channel mix. Here the textures, these patterns, spaces, that is not a frame. It seems black, but we want them to be transparent. Original red channel to be alpha 1 and blue to 1, green to 1, and then original alpha to be 0. With this, we can change the only black area to be transparent. So we can make the color of the fires here and make these many operators to be a single component. And here we can see the red color texture. Then we can see the texture orange rectangle. Real fire is not a rectangle shape, so let's change the form to be, at first, let's change it into circular shape with a ramp and inside operators. Insert the inside and ramp to be circular shape with the type circular. And now the center part is black, but change it to white. And outer area to be transparent. Here, outer area to be transparent. Out of the sphere is now white, so let's change it to 0. We can make the transparent outer area. Now with inside operators, we can clip the original noise patterns. With this, we can change the texture shape to be circle shape. Let's make transparent these sphere here, only here. So insert level here, timely here, only this time. Sphere render is not necessary for the explanations. Post effect opacity to be 0. With this, we can make it transparent. We can clear the sphere. Let's get it back. And then let's make various kind of patterns of the effect. That is not difficult with the LFO and the noise patterns. It is just to change the pattern randomly, and we use the 4 LFO, low frequency of oscillators, and change the frequency little by little, and not to be as the same phase, to be the same phase of the oscillations. So let's change it to 1.1 and 1.3 and 1.7 and 1. Those numbers don't make the same phase oscillations, and apply it to the noise each parameters period, harmonic spread, and the harmonics gain. And now each signal has under 0 negative area, but we don't need that here. So let's change the offset and the amplitude to not to make the negative numbers. Change it. That's approximately not we don't need a precise one, but it's approximately 0.7 3 of 4th, approximately 0.78 or so. Okay, now we can make various kind of patterns that seems like the mixture of the frame and air and the dust around those fires. That's good, I think. And here, those patterns is now all circle shape, but that is not natural because fire particle has also very random shaped. So let's deform it with a displace. And noise top, insert displace. And connect the noise to second input, and let's change it not to monochrome but the color. With that, X and Y random displays is decrease the number of color channel, only use the red and green, and the horizontal source to be red, and the vertical source is now second input, second channel green. And let's adjust the display's weight to be 0.1. And we also want to change this display's shape, so apply the LFO here too, and make the offset to be 1, and apply it to noise period. Okay, now we can change this displays to amount, and let's change the with the pattern with a translate. This TZ translate Z. This is the magic phrase. Inputs that abs times dot seconds. Also abs times frame is also good if you change the pattern very frequently. Okay, now we can make the patterns. So make the single component and change the out2 to out1 to see the layout. This is the pattern component. Now let's adjust a little bit. The 2 is too enough. Let's change the amplitude to be 0.5 and offset to be 1.5. And the frequency is not, this is too slow. Change to 2. That's better, I think. And it decreases the calculation of them. And those components has much calculation. Let's bypass them. When you lock the texture 3D, we don't need the calculation of these components. Let's change those components' name to make patterns. And this color change component. Okay, we can make these various kind of nice frame patterns. This area is making the particle position that, so make them to single component. Change out2 to out1. This is only making the that. Let's make it together. Okay, now the frame pattern, all of these particles has the same textures because the texture reference number is now all 0. Now the texture's number is 60, but we only use the first one, number 0. So let's make the reference of those textures, that is the random number of 0 to 60 of the integers. Let's insert here between the soft to null, soft to out1. First insert the select. We use the index of the original particle's position that, and we use the index of each particle. And insert here the evaluation. Let's make with it those index to be 0 to 60's random numbers. First, the first row is the name of these stages. That is we call the phase. And the second row is the formula. That's changed those particle index to be random, not random, but 1 to 60 numbers. First, change it me.input cell to plus abstime.phrase, but that shows error because the original input cell stated is the string, not the integer. So let's change it to be integer with int functions. Sandwich them with parentheses and int. Then now we can get rid of the error. Those calculations is achieved as an integer calculation. And then let's add %60 that make the modulus of those numbers. And then with this, we can get the 0 to 60 numbers. And then now, what is 60? 60 is the texture, those fire patterns number. And we define it as the input of the here constant chop. So let's reference those texture size input to the position of 60 we write here. Let's derive it within the component with im chop. and put in all three. And let's reference here that those are null. Null name is null3. And we can call it with a value name texture size, but we also can use the 0. That is the first channel of this null3. That is simpler, I think. Okay, now we can make the 0 to 60 number here. Then let's merge it to the original output data and connect with the merge and not append rows, not append column. Okay, now we can make the chat and apply it to the instance W value. With that, okay, now we can get a nice fire random patterns. Then we insert level here to adjust the brightness. And okay, now let's make the component together. Those area is making the fire effect areas. Change that to 2.1. Then here is the position area. Those particles will disappear with limited time because those trail has only 4 seconds values. But we want to fix it. We want to have the particles a long time. So now it's inactive. The active version is off. In that situation, we can't input the signals. Oh, I forgot to name the input value select and UV. That is very important to avoid the name error. And let's activate and reference the selected value of the here. With this, we can only activate when we input the signals. Okay, now next. Then here, this time, we can't disappear all these particles. So let's make those functions. First, let's make the clear buttons to clear those particles. And derive it inside this component with inchop. As usual, name this a clear signal. And connect null and refer it. Here, trails reset all. With that, we can clear those particles with this button. Change the button type to momentary, and yeah, we can get rid of. We can add the clear function. Then next, let's insert the trigger of this fire part. When you make a trigger, maybe you put input, this time the switch, and reactor. That means the effect. And between them, there you put the signal to manipulate those fire system. And that is the buttons. Here, name it as fire. And let's show it in the component view. Derive it inside the component trigger component. Name the signal as fire. Avoid the name error. And connect it. Now we can apply the inside. And those trigger, we want to use it as the trigger on off of those particle generations. That is here. Those generations on off is here. That is, let's draw the null operator to here. Yes, here. Those particles generation as the trigger of the good to be the good trigger of here and the reset buttons. But oh, we can't see the buttons here. Let's change it to run left to right. Okay, now we can see the both buttons clear in the fire, but as a little too small, so we can't see well. So let's make it bigger. Not 50, 100, 100. Then change the font size, not 10, 25 is better, I think. Yeah, we can see clearly those fonts. Clear and the fire buttons appear here. Okay, then we want to change those fire buttons to be the trigger of the particle generations. Let's apply it to the particles reset buttons. But here, the reset button is the generations on off, but on off is the when reset button is on, the particle generation is off. So it is inverted. So we want here to be the 0 to be off and 1 to be on. So here insert the map to revert it from range 0 1 to 1 0. Let's invert the 0 1 in 0 1 relation here. Okay, now let's bypass the level to see the sphere again. Now, a rectangle with 0.2 size is better, I think. See, and change the transparency of the fire. Change the 1- source color. Not, but not that seems darker. So let's change the source color. Yeah. And change the gamma level. And that is too yellow. Change the color a little. So off the bypass. And change brightness a little brighter, and hue is a little bit more red. It's the tulip. Yes, here is nice, I think. Okay, now you should bypass in usual use, but make it on. That it needs not so much the calculations here, with the bothersome to on off again. And this is the make trigger and the fire here. Now we can change the fire on. With this fire's buttons trigger that we can make, we make the fire on off. And another, here we want to insert the functions. Now the fire is disappear and appear very quickly, but we want to slightly generate it, change the size of the fire. Then this is a technique we should introduce in the element series meta part, hardness control of the signals. But we use here insert the lag operators, and here we can modulate the change of the signals. And when you connect the logic here, we can change the signal change like this. We use these two yellow and green signal. Oh, not here. We should use here. We want to refer as the rectangle size. So sorry. We reinsert those operators here. Remove it here. And connect the null to lag and another null to logic. We use these two signals, and logic 1 to be the base 2, that is on off of the particles, and lag 1 to the rectangle. With that, now we can modulately change the rectangle size, but the rectangle size to be very big because the signal is now 1, and the rectangle size becomes the 1, not 1.2. So let's modulate the size to be 1 to 0.2 with the math operators. Yeah, we can now moderate the size change of the wires. That is nice, but very natural thing. And let's collapse those, make it together to the one component. And change the out name to be out1, but here we don't want to use this as a layout. We want this trail operator as a background. Let's change constant temporary as out1. Let's change the name to be out1 And let's change again the name out one to BZ. That means background and yes to all. With that, we're gonna change those component operator viewer name to be ./BZ. That is the BZ operated inside of the component. Okay, now we can moderate now as all work is finished. And you can make some various kinds of firework. This is my Instagram and just some example of mine. But there's many other works that a lot of people make. Here you can projecting on wall. This seems as if there's a real fire on the wall. That is also good. And in this work, I let the Google Home to blow the fire. With this work, it's also just I made a trigger for the fire. I set the position of the fires around the Google Home speaker and just let the trigger on. This time the TouchDesigner file is open, and you can use not only fire effect. This is an example to show the Twitter message with a trigger. This is also very interesting and also useful to show various informations. So the 3 steps, set positions and make triggers and the fires, is to be the basics of the you let effect to be on, I think. Oh, I draw the character fire with this works. So this time I introduced the fire effect technique and the basic concept of the manipulate the signals. So thank you for watching. Then see you next time tutorial. Bye bye.